Everyone says I love you, but just what they say it for I never knew. It's just inviting trouble for the poor sucker who says I love you.
I love good music.
So do I. Let's get out of here.
Sit down.
What do you want? I should read your mind? I'm too busy now. The shows are going to start. I'm telling you, too excited. I can't read your mind. All right, I read your mind. What's on your mind? Yeah, it's a dame. All the time you got a dame on your mind. Oh, it's a no dame. It's a nice cigar.
Gather round me, my children. Lift up your curly blonde heads. 'Cause Mommy's got something to ask you before you crawl into your nice warm beds.
Hello, YouTube and YouTubettes. Welcome to another Marx Brothers movie review. I am Robbo.
And I'm Becko.
And today we're going to review Love Happy.
The Marx Brothers' final feature together sees Harpo as the mascot of a group of aspiring actors who indulges in a little light larceny to ensure they have enough food. He steals a tin of sardines that were the cover for a stash of stolen diamonds and has to evade the heavies who are after them.
Okay, Becko, tell us who's in this movie.
Groucho Marx plays Detective Sam. Madame Agalici is played by Ilona Massey. Grunion, that's his last name. Grunion's client is played by Marilyn Monroe. Harpo Marx plays Harpo. Vera Ellen plays Maggie Phillips. Chico Marx plays Faustino. Raymond Burr plays Alphonse. Leon Belasco plays Mr. Lyons. Bruce Gordon plays Hannibal. Melville Cooper plays Throckmorton. And Marion Hutton plays Bunny Dolan.
So, Becko, tell me what you think about the storyline of this movie.
The storyline was okay. It definitely had some fun moments. You definitely kind of felt for the actors and how they were just trying to survive, and it kind of pulled from these old-timey vaudeville and melodrama types of plots where you have the villain that's like the rich gentleman that's trying to become richer. And so it was okay. It was cheesy for sure, but it was okay.
Yeah, I was thinking that it's the storyline seems familiar, and I think we saw a similar storyline in Room Service, and where you got your evil owner of the theater that's trying to hold. For some reason, he's going to benefit by letting it, or selling it, or getting letting it collapse or whatever. So, okay, what's your favorite story or scene for the storyline?
My favorite story scene was the chase on the rooftops. It was kind of unique, and there's all those Broadway lights that they're kind of running around. It's kind of the action sequence that you often see towards the end of a lot of these Marx Brothers movies, where there's a chase that happens. I don't know that it necessarily lends to the plot, but that was what I put for the best scene, and it was kind of different.
Yeah, I agree. That's also what I put, the roof scene, and it's one of the few scenes where all three Marx Brothers were together, kind of in the same thing, if I recall. But so what's your final score for the story?
I give the story a 4.
And I gave it a 3. All right, let's talk about the quality of the movie.
So I had taken note that this movie had really pretty good costumes and sets, And then you also had the performing troupe that had their own different types of costumes and the sets from the theater. And so that was all done pretty well. And the acting was pretty good. All the gags were good. Sometimes the gags fall flat, but this one had good kind of special effects there. There were several actors that were in this that it was before they were famous. But yeah, there were a lot of really good things, but some of them kind of went on too long. But for the most part, generally speaking, the quality was pretty high.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe part of it is because it was 1949 and it was, let's see, I think the previous one was 46, which was Casablanca. And then before that, most of them were like all in a row in the 30s into the early 40s. So this was, in a later point when technology had improved. So the movie just looked better. It didn't look as old. But yeah, so also, I think I'll mention this here as far as quality. The effects in the chase scene at the end, where Harpo gets on that sign and the lights, he moves with the light as opposed to moving naturally. And I thought that was a pretty cool trick. And there was some other tricks in there that I saw that regarding Harpo. And I know they had done tricks with Harpo in the past, but kind of giving him that magical touch where he's able to do supernatural things. So what is your final score for the quality?
I give the quality a 7.
And I also give it a 7. All right, let's talk about the music.
There were some fun numbers in this one. I wrote down one called "You Stole the Jam," which I believe that was in one of the. Was that like a theater performance number rather than something that happens spontaneously? But I think it was something that was performed on the stage at the theater. I believe so. Yes. I think it was one that the theater troupe performed. So it wasn't something that happened spontaneously like a musical would. It's actually showing you what the theater was doing. I believe this is also the one where Harpo plays like in a park and he's comforting someone, and that was cute. And then I put down Chico and the violinist. That was kind of a funny, it's the Gypsy Love Song. It was really cute how they played together, and that you could tell the violinist was an actual professional violinist who was acting as well, and he was funny. So that was kind of a funny scene how they did the music there. So overall, the music was cute.
Yeah, I think I don't remember a lot of like the catchy, fun numbers that like Groucho would sing, for example, and I don't remember Groucho singing in this one. But most of the movies in the past would have one or two songs like that were kind of silly, fun, funny songs. This one didn't have that as much as good quality music, in my opinion, just more artsy kind of music and jazz and things. And so for that reason, I think I liked the music. And my favorites was Chico with the violinist is what I had down. So, yeah, I can't remember anything specifically. I just remember enjoying the music, and I thought it was well done. So, so what's your final score for the music?
I give the music a 5.
And I gave it a 6. All right, now what do you think of the overall acting performances in the movie?
There was a lot of good performers in this. There were a lot of people that I haven't really recognized in other movies, but they did really well in this. And as I mentioned, there were several actors in it before they were famous. None of them were that noteworthy, and it's funny that they bill Marilyn Monroe first because she ended up being famous really fast after this movie. This wasn't her first movie, but she became famous pretty quickly shortly after this, I'm assuming, or maybe around the time it was released. But she was barely in it. I don't. Did she even have any lines?
I don't think so.
She may have said one word or something, but she was just appeared at the door and they opened it and then she left. So it's funny that she's the first person listed every time you see, and even at like the DVD cover or whatever, it'll always have Marilyn Monroe on the cover. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, there were definitely some that stood out for sure that did really well.
Yeah, it's kind of like Lucille Ball in Room Service, where she's now the most famous actor in that movie, but in the movie itself, she wasn't. She was just a small role. So, I thought the overall acting was pretty solid. Yeah, I had a hard time picking somebody, but I do have somebody listed here. I picked Yona Massey. Sorry, she was the bad woman, the villainess, and you picked her as well. Okay, and so let's talk about the Marx Brothers performances.
My favorite Marx brother in this one. Groucho obviously was very much downplayed. It's almost like he was an afterthought. He was just kind of narrated a little bit almost. I think his character didn't really even seem to... It's like they wanted an excuse to include him. So he was not my favorite. Chico in this showed some really good, like, heartfelt kind of acting. And sometimes it's very rare that he's my favorite. Harpo always stands out, and Groucho is usually really good. Harpo was consistent. At least there are some of the movies where Harpo isn't that great, but he was great in this. But Chico just had, I don't remember the specific scene, but it was just very like a heartwarming kind of acting.
Yeah, I can see that. Like he can at times be well-rounded, like as far as being a straight man as well as a funny guy. This movie was originally made just for Harpo, and it was just going to be him, but then Chico needed money because he had gambling issues. And then once they had Chico in there, they thought, well, we might as well put Groucho in here too. And so, I think that, I had Harpo because he was like he was most prominent in this movie, so Harpo is who I chose. So what was your final score for performances?
I gave performance a 6.
And I gave it a 4. All right, let's talk about the comedy in the movie.
There was some pretty funny scenes in this, for sure. I think my favorite funny scene was the pocket scene where Harpo kind of gets caught for pickpocketing, and they're trying to pull items from Harpo's pocket, and there's all just kind of random stuff. It's kind of an old joke. You've seen it in other movies, or you've seen Harpo do it before, but it was pretty good. Again, the Harpo and then the other Marx Brothers, how they just they're not trying that hard to elude the bad guys. They don't care, and they do stuff that doesn't necessarily help them hide from them. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think there's some pretty funny moments in this, and I don't know that it's anything brilliant necessarily, but I do remember with Groucho there was one line at the beginning where he said, after a long time of trying to figure out who stole the jewels or whatever. I finally figured it out. I confessed. Or something like that. And that's kind of funny. But, yeah, I can't remember a lot of funny things Chico did. And Groucho was more of a narrator and said a few funny lines. But Harpo was the main comedy in this movie. And some of the background characters were pretty funny as well. So, but I don't know that it was anything brilliant overall. So, do you have a favorite scene, or did you already?
Well, I did mention the pickpocketing scene and when they're removing items from Harpo's pockets. But I also felt like, in some ways, this movie was similar to Night at the Opera in that there was a lot of comedy in it, but it did almost have somewhat of a serious plot line. So I do feel like it didn't have the same silliness that some of the other ones may have had. Like, there's silly parts, but it did almost have a more serious overtone than some of the others. So humor kind of is scored lower just simply because of that.
Yeah, I agree. Overall, well, my favorite scene was Harpo being hypnotized and tortured, and I'm not sure if that was in the same scene that you with the pickpocketing, but that was kind of a long scene, and it was all very entertaining. So, what's your final score for comedy?
I gave it a 4.
And I gave it a 6. So, what was your final score for Love Happy?
I gave it a 5.
And I gave it a 5.3.
What kind of music you like?
I like gypsy music.
Gypsy music, it's a magnifico. I like a gypsy music. Hey, stop with the moving. Stop with the noise. Everybody stop. Mr. Lyons, he's going to play. Here. Do you know play gypsy play?
No, I don't know that.
You know gypsy serenade?
No.
What do you know?
I know gypsy love song.
Gypsy love song.
Yeah, but I only know the chorus.
That's all right. I played the voice and you follow me.
All right, you play the verse and I'll noodle around.
What do you mean by noodling?
Like this.
That's good. You noodle on that, I macaroni on this. Now, look, Mr. Lyons, I know you want to make a good impression, but please don't play better than me. The same thing?
I advise you to leave.
I'll take you down to the bus station. Oh, if I'm not back tonight, go ahead without me.
That's been the history of all my romances.